I'm Katie from What Katie Did, and today I'm speaking to you from the library. And I'm filming in early September 2020, and we're just getting ready for our Halloween shoot, so that explains why everything's looking rather Victorian and very slightly spooky at the moment. My last video was about making our Liz lingerie in white and why we couldn't do it in peach, and it had a really good reaction from you. And you said you'd like to see, you'd like to know more about what happens behind the scenes and what goes into actually making lingerie. And you should be careful what you wish for, because today I'm going to tell you about our eco packaging for our stockings, which is, oh my goodness, this has been going on. By the time we complete this, it will have gone on for 2 years. And it's like, how long does it take what Katie did to make a paper bag? And it's been absolutely crazy. But just to let you know, this is a story of why things take so long and why it drives us absolutely crazy, and why so many people just take the easy option, because it's so much easier just to say forget the whole thing and we'll just continue the way we are. So I've got my notebook here in the library. I spoke to you, I think it was January 2019, about our stocking packaging, because at the moment we use plastic outer wraps for the packaging, and I spoke to you about various ideas, what we were going to do moving forward. And I said by the end of 2019 I wanted to have eco packaging. So there's several videos on our YouTube channel about it, so you can go and check those out. But first of all, I came up with various ideas. Since then, there are a few hosiery companies who've made like greener packaging, and they've used basically card inserts to put your stockings into, card packaging. And we know where to get those done, but even though our hosiery, our Glamour seams have to be made in a bulk quantity, they're still a lot smaller than the mainstream hosiery brands. So the packaging would work out very expensive for us, and we're talking like 75p or $1 per package for the stockings. And at What Katie Did, we want as much money as possible to go into the product. And previously, like before the internet, really it was the packaging that sold the product. And while we still want our products to look cute, because we still have shops, and when you receive them through the post, we want you to think, oh, that looks really nice. We want to put the minimum amount of money into the packaging and the maximum amount of what you spend into the actual product. So we didn't really want to spend that amount on the packaging, because ultimately you'd be paying for the packaging and not the stockings. So I came up with the idea of using these paper bags, and the paper bags obviously break down. They're recyclable and they're eco-friendly. And my first stumbling block was finding someone who could do the paper bags for us. I found someone, no problem. And the next thing to do was design the artwork. And we had someone in-house at the time to do the artwork. And my mistake here was using someone who was an artist and not a graphic designer, because this, as you can see, this artwork is printed in a certain way. It's one color actually, so it's a white bag and it's got a blue print on it, and that is classed as one color. And the way printing works in this case is there's a printing color system called the Pantone color book, the Pantone colors, and you pick the exact Pantone color, and the printers will mix it to match exactly, and they will print that one color on your bag. Or if you have 4 Pantone colors, they'll print the 4 colors, but each Pantone color has to be done separately, so the price increases depending on the amount of Pantone colors you have. And because I was working with an artist as opposed to a graphic designer, they really couldn't get their heads around the idea of working in pink and black. So the idea was to have a white bag with pink and black design on it. So each illustration I had would have like 6 different shades of pink, and I'm like, no, when I say pink, I need one pink. One pink is one pink is one pink, and we can't have 6 pinks because it's just like one. It's like screen printing. It's just the one colour. And in the end, I just gave up on it. The deadline was July, and when I gave the deadline as July, I meant the finished artwork in July, and it seemed to be like I was just still getting ideas, and we couldn't get our heads together. So in the end, we just scrapped that. And of course, then July turned to August, September, October, our busiest time of the year, and it got put on the back burner. We did speak to a graphic designer in September, and they finally delivered the artwork early January, and the artwork was great. We then did our mock-up, which you can see here, and this is basically how we wanted to look. So it's the one colour pink and the black on the white bag. And before we got the bags printed, I thought I'd better just check with the factory to make sure that they're happy actually using these bags to put the stockings in. And so I phoned the factory, and they said, yes, no problem. And I sent the bags up just to make doubly sure, and they turned around and said, no, we can't use them. They're not suitable for your stockings. And I'm like, okay. And I'd already been through so much getting the design right in the first place. I was like a bit, when you're hit in the face, it's like, really? And then I thought, because I've purchased from Snag Tights, and if you've purchased from Snag Tights, you'll know that they package their tights in these bags, and they just use generic bags, various different colours, and some of them have stripes, but they don't have any branding on, but they are basically these bags. So I went back to our factory and said, Snag Tights, because our factory also makes for Snag Tights. So I was like, you put Snag Tights in the bags? And they said, yes, but they're not oily. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, your stockings are oily. And I'm like, really? And they said, yeah, when the stockings are finished, because they've got seams, basically this applies to all our seam stockings, is something to do with the manufacturing process, is that there can be a slight oily residue. And, I'm like, I couldn't say that's total hogwash, because I can remember years ago being in the warehouse, and we have our white inner sleeve, and I can remember that the white inner sleeve, it did have some patches on it, and I didn't understand where this came from. And it's happened with our fully fashioned stockings, and it's also happened with our retro seams. This is pre-Glamour Seams Day. So yes, they do have an oily residue. So I know the factory wasn't lying. I know it is a case. The oily residue was very slight. As I say, I haven't noticed it for several years now. So I'm sure if I told you guys, you could have plastic which hangs around for hundreds of years, or you could have the eco-friendly packaging which might have a slightly oily little patch on it somewhere, you'd say, yeah, just go for the eco packaging. But anyway, the factory said no. They didn't want to take the risk of me turning around in a year's time and saying, listen, all our stockings are rubbish and you're going to have to redo the whole lot. So, that's their decision, and I couldn't do anything about that. Then I had a second thought. I said, how about greaseproof bags? And they said, I went to the factory and said, what about if we use greaseproof bags? And the factory said, yes, we can do them, no problem. They said, in fact, they said to me, oh, that's a really good idea. Maybe we'll do that as well. And I'm like, no, because I've already put so much work into this. But the greaseproof bags, on closer research, I found that there's two types of greaseproof bag. There's one which is eco-friendly and one which is not eco-friendly and biodegradable. So I quickly phoned our printing factory and I said, can we do the eco-friendly greaseproof paper? And they said yes. So basically we were ready to go. So we had the artwork, we had the approval from the factory, we had the quotes, we had the eco-printing greaseproof bag printers all ready to go. And then we had COVID and everything just shut down. So we were ready to go in February, and then basically the whole world stopped, as you're aware. And over the last couple of months, things have gradually reopened. And so by this time, I passed this on to Jenny, who does all our social media, and she does our magazines and our catalogues, if you've seen those. So she she actually put this together for me to say this is how it's going to look, and I passed everything on to her because I was like, no, I'm through with it. I just can't take this anymore. So Jenny went to put this into production, and so she contacted the printers who were going to do this for me. And first of all, they don't actually make the bags themselves. There's only one company in the UK that does the bags really, and you have to go through a subsidiary printing company to get in touch with them. So we were working with the middle person, and the middle person who I had been working with for like 10 years beforehand, because they also make the paper bags for our boutiques. So they knew who we are, and they knew that we're going to pay our bills, and they knew that we do our artwork and everything's spot on. This time around, we were having issues with them from the start, really. Jenny got in contact with them, and they took a long time to respond. And after a couple of weeks, they said, well, the quote was pre-COVID, and now we need to give you a post-COVID quote. And Jenny was like, yep, can we have the quote? And the quote wasn't forthcoming, and Jenny kept on chasing them up, and eventually the quote came, and we said, fine, we'll go for it. Let's get on with it. And then they said, well, we need the artwork again because the artwork wasn't right last time. And so Jenny sent the artwork, and they said, we can't open it. We need it as a vector file. So Jenny sent it as a vector file, and then they turned around, so they couldn't open the vector file, and they needed it as a PDF. And so Jenny sent it as a PDF, and then they said a couple of weeks later, when Jenny chased it up, they said, oh, the actual printers, they actually need a vector file, not a PDF. So Jenny did it as a vector file again and sent it over again. And Jenny showed me a couple of weeks ago, she said, I've got this huge thing of emails. I just want to show you that I'm not messing you around. I just can't get any sense out of these people because whatever I do, it's wrong. So the next stage was, yes, they had the vector file. They'd managed to open the vector file. We got the quotes. We just needed a sample because we have to make tens of thousands of these, and we need them to be right. And so the printing people said they're not going to make a sample unless we place a definite order. So Jenny placed a definite order with them. And then she chased it up 2 weeks later, and they said, we can't make a sample unless we have a definite order from you. So Jenny emailed them and sent a definite order, and then chased it up 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later, they said, we can't make the sample without a definite order. So this time around, I got on the case and said, this is a definite order. They still didn't receive that email. They still wouldn't make it without a definite order. So this time, me and Jenny sent 2 emails and said, this is a definite order. And we got the sample. We got the sample through. There was such a fuss to get a sample. This is what Jenny had mocked up in homemade style 18 months ago now, and we were really excited to see the sample. So when it arrived, it wasn't quite what we expected, considering the amount of effort we had to go to get them to actually make this. We expected it to be something like this, but this is how it's actually going to be printed. And instead we got this with a disclaimer saying, some small detail may be lost. So Jenny went back to the printing people and said, some small detail may be lost. Can you elaborate on this? And they said, well, that's just a disclaimer they put on everything. And we're like, well, we're going to have tens of thousands of these, and we're really not happy working from this. And at that point, the printers turned around and said, listen, we're done as well. We'll give you the details direct of the factory, which actually prints everything themselves, so you can go direct to them, and we're not having anything to do with it. So the stage we are now is Jenny is actually in touch with the printers who actually print the bags, so the people who print these direct. They are in contact with her, they are communicating with her, she's working on her Pantones again. We are totally paranoid. This has been going on. I mean, we've been at this stage now since December last year, and it's now September, and we're convinced that the pink is a pink, right? Who chose this pink? Are they really going to do it this pink? Is it going to turn out to be a fluorescent pink? We're convinced that something's going to be wrong, but fingers crossed. Well, before COVID, they said there was a 3-month turnaround. So before COVID, if we ordered today, we would have the first load of packaging before Christmas. and then we'd start packing the stockings as they come in. So by mid next year, then hopefully we will have swapped over. Of course, we're not sure what that backlog is post-COVID, but I just wanted to let you know that it's not quite as simple as, you know, here's the artwork, can you just make this? Because we have jumped through so many hoops to try and get this done, and we've been hiding under the table, and it's been driving me nuts, it's been driving poor Jenny nuts, and we really are doing the best we can, and we will get there eventually. So I just wanted to update you on this because I promised to update you probably a year ago now, and I haven't done it because we really didn't have any news for you. But now we are making very slow progress. If you do have any questions about what Katie did, either our designs or behind the scenes, please get in touch. And in the meantime, take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.